Hi, this is Jamie Steinberg with Starry Constellation Magazine. Um, John, this is such a hilarious series. You must have an
Thank
exceptional
you.
talent for comedy, and certainly the writing shows it in every page. Where did this concept sort of flesh out for you?
Um, so for me, this started when my friends at CBS Studios brought me the original UK series Friday Night Dinner and asked me if I'd be interested in creating an American show based on that format about a family that gets together for dinner every Friday night. And I watched the original series created by Robert Popper, which is hilarious, and which features a family that immediately reminded me of my own family. Um, Robert grew up with one brother, uh, and a mom and dad in the house, and so did I. Although I also, for part of my childhood, had my mom's mom living in the house with
Oh, you
us.
did? I don't think we ever talked about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was, you know, a, a big reason why I wanted to introduce Nana, also just to have another woman in the cast every episode. Um, but,
Hmm.
um, you know, I, I just could relate so immediately to the idea of that thing where when you get together with your family. And I know in my experience, I immediately revert to when I was 14 or 15. And it's like all those relationships and the inside jokes and the grievances. And it all just snaps back to where it was, when you were a kid or a teenager. And, it's the fact that these relationships persist throughout your life. Um, is kind of the comedy engine of the show. And I was really excited to kind of introduce my family and life experiences into that format and see what fun we could have. And it turned out the show was enormously fun to write. And if anything, even more fun to make because I got
Yeah.
to work with people like Carol, which was just unbelievably exciting for me.
Oh, thanks, Beckerman. Yeah, now you got to have that great writing and the cast, which is so fun and we're all I think we're really lucky because I think we all felt really safe together, which means you can do anything. Because we had a lot of I've never said this before, but I think we had a lot of trust in each other and so you wouldn't whatever you did you weren't going to upset anybody. You could try whatever and nobody would say why did you do, we all felt free together, I think, and with the platform of the great writing and our my buddy Tristram Shapiro, who directed some Kimmy Schmitz, who's the one who brought me into this. And so it was really a good fun experience. And plus we got to be in London, and that doesn't hurt.
John, how involved were you when it came to casting these wonderful individuals who are so comedically talented?
Uh, well, part of being a showrunner is that you are um, on the front lines of the casting process. Um, you know, I I was very, very fortunate in that not only did we find uh, a cast who, in my opinion, were the absolute ideal people to play these characters, but CBS and Freebie were super supportive in the casting of these wonderful people. Um, we saw many many actors for each of these parts, and uh, I mean, I guess I really should say that for the younger characters, that's where it was more about seeing a lot of people. And for the, older characters, these are people in their at a point in their career where you don't necessarily get to see them do it before you're there on set, right? Because
Mhm.
they have their pick of parts to play. And but when these names came up, I just knew, oh God, I've loved Michaela for probably, I guess, since I first saw her on SNL.
Mm.
Um, I've loved Dan. I don't know if Veep was the first time I became aware of him, but these are people who for years now I've just seen knock it out of the park in part after part. And Carol, as I told her when I was begging her to do this show, um, when I was a teenager, or not a teenager, when I was a little kid, I should say, um, my place to watch TV was on the floor of my Nana's room, because she lived with us. She had the room next to mine, and she had a TV. And we had a similar taste in stuff to watch. So I would lie on my stomach on her floor. She would sit in her easy chair, and we
Mhm.
would watch the great comedies of the 70s.
Mhm.
Uh, you know, uh, All in the Family, The Jeffersons, and of course, Taxi.
Mhm.
And um, if you could have told that kid that I would be working with Carol Kane on my own sitcom, decades in the future, my head would have exploded.
Aw,
So I,
that's
I, I
sweet.
just, I feel so lucky to have had this experience.
Mm.
And it really connects me to my family and to my Nana. And it's just such a special full circle thing for me.
Mm.
Um,
Great.
yeah.
Mm. It's great.
Carol, you are maybe the queen of accents at this point. How do you find how did you find Nana's voice compared to the one you do on Star Trek, compared to one you do on other series, one you did for Hunters even?
Uh, I think that my I combined John's Nana, who I didn't know, with my grandma, my mother's mother, who came from Vienna and was always very stylish and super dressed up. So we brought that in, and her accent a bit. We brought that in, and it's all collaborative, we all decided everything together, but I think that's where it came from is my grandma and the way it was written. Yeah, but her style, that was my Grandma Seal's style. She was always impeccably dressed, but a little bit fancy, a little bit too fancy for the room.
Love that.
There's
Yeah.
so many great moments to this series. I really think that every episode is maybe even funnier than the last because you all go there and it's just ends up with those laughter tears that
Oh
makes it
no,
Oh,
this is so
such a
great to
special
hear.
series.
thank
Is that
you.
is that what you think Carol is going to make this such a fast fan favorite show, that not just all these comedic talents have found a perfect vehicle for them, but it's something every family can relate to?
I hope that we've created something that families will enjoy watching together. There's some mild cursing, but nothing your kids haven't heard before. Nothing your kids aren't saying when you're not around. But yeah, the show is meant to be something that families can just laugh and enjoy together. It's about relationships that most of us have in our lives. It's about a family that, in spite of how horribly things go, every time they get together, they always do it again the very next week because they love each other.
Mhm.
And
And there's
that's,
always hope that it will go smoothly.
yeah, there's always hope, and that hope is always dashed by the end of the episode. But these people are all very flawed, as are we all, but they adore
How
each
dare you
other.
say that?
Except for Carol Kane.
except for Carol
Um,
Kane, yes.